Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Chillin' with Da Pool. I'm your host, with the most, Pirate Master Deadpool Supreme. I know, welcome to a late-night showing of tonight's episode. I know we decided to do things a little bit differently, just, to shake things up a little bit, but, anyway, with the first month of January, first month of 2025 finally coming to an end, I figure that what better time to kick off this celebratory milestone than with a brand new episode. And which book are we going to be reviewing today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls alike? Why, none other than the book that started it all. And by that I mean this one. Behold, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the very first Spider-Verse book, The Amazing Spider-Man, written by Dan Slott. Yep, this was the very first book. This was the book that kickstarted the whole Spider-Verse genre of books in the first place. As you can see, all the characters are featured here, as in Spider-Punk, the Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Ham, the Amazing Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Mayday Parker, as well as the angsty clone, Kane himself. This book had several different tie-ins, one that I was hopefully trying to get, but it turns out I could actually find the pictures on Tumblr. It was surprisingly easy. And any others you could pretty much just find at your local comic book store. I believe so. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into it, shall we? The story begins with Peter Parker waking up to Jameson just screaming in his ear at 5:30 at almost 6 o'clock in the morning. Has that not? How many times has that happened? So Peter's just getting ready for work, swinging on the way to work, and as it turns out, this one he's actually settled on Armstrong Park, New Lunar York, as in reality, where it turns out they're actually in a reality where mankind has actually landed and or conquered the moon, and this mofo right here is about to end Spider-Man's career, this world Spider-Man's career. It's called Moon Spider of Earth 449. This mofo called Morlun says I've done this dance on 1,000 different Earths, meaning that this ain't the first time. As they say, this ain't my first rodeo, pilgrim. And for those that don't get the reference, it's John Wayne. Just gonna say it right then and there. As it turns out, this ain't the first. Morlun isn't the only one. He actually comes from a long line of inheritors who basically are animal totems who get their powers from animal totems, like heroes that are dressed up like animals, like Spider-Man, Black Panther, and possibly White Tiger. You never know. But anyway, she's also trained the Hounds. I mean, look at this guy, Kravinoff, Sable, and Fireheart, aka Puma. Seriously, they've even subjugated some of their multiverse's greatest hunters hunters and predators into cool. Yes, it is very cool. Yeah, it's a Hounds. So it's like, yeah, you do not want to know the kind of torture and mind controlling experiments that were put into these ones. Never mind. And anyway. So yeah, anyway, their connection to the Mall of the Spider-Verse is actually controlled by the Master Weaver, a half-naked dude that pretty much that spins the web and then opens portals like boom tubes from the DC universe. Oh, it's called to answer your question, the comic is called Spider-Verse. It's not, I don't know the issue number, but it's just more of a graphic novel. So I hope that answers your question. Oh. And then, let's see, okay. So anyway, and we return to Earth. Anyway, the story picks up on Earth 616, where Peter and this world's version of Silk, since they're both bitten by the same radioactive spider, they have matching pheromones, and as a result, they end up keep making out and or having sex with each other, just pretty much because of within close proximity. Who knows? Yeah. So anyway, they go out to investigate all the different happenings that's going on around here, and as a result, and of course, yada yada. Oh yeah, and apparently that Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man, Spider-Man from 2099, is kind of stuck in this reality, as is Spider UK, aka Billy Braddock. Fun fact: he's not just a member of the Spider-Verse army; he's actually a member of the Captain Britain Corps. Corps. So he's literally belongs to two different corps at once. Good stories there. Oh, I thank you. Is her. Okay, yes. So, let's see. Back to the story at hand. Oh, yes. Anyway, Moreland ends up showing up on Mount Wundagore as he ends up kidnapping Kay, the angsty clone of Peter Parker, because apparently he's needed for a ritual. He is just the first part of a 3-part ritual. As well as Ben Reilly, who ends up trying to come in to save him. And then, of course, there's Old Man Spider, who is actually whose secret identity was hidden for now, but let's just say he plays a very crucial role later on near the end of this book. Then there's Bruce Banner, who is actually the Spider-Man from Earth 70105, but it turns out he's actually based on the Alex Ross version of Spider-Man's suit, like, who is kind of used as the inspiration for the Raimiverse one, and this version of Spider-Man is actually, Bruce Banner is not a Hulk. Believe it or not, he really isn't. Then you have Spider-Gwen, that's pretty much the new favorite. She's kind of like around this time when the book was published in 2014. This was when she actually made her debut, and everything. So yeah. Then you can see right over here that all the different totems from all across the different realities have congregated together to stop the Inheritors. Then, of course, you see as Captain Universe Spider-Man, a reality where Spider-Man kept the powers of Captain Universe, which, believe it or not, he actually maintained for a while. He had for a while. And then, of course, you have Mayday Parker, the Spider-Girl from Earth 982, aka the MC2. She was What If's. Keep in mind, this Mayday right here. She was What If's very first breakout character, a character that was let's see. Oh yeah, that became so beloved after they kept bringing her back issue after issue until she was eventually given her own series lead. Then of course you have Jessica Drew and Anya Corazon. Both are from the same universe. She technically, I like to call her like the space Spider-Woman, because she was, in my headcanon, she was experimented on by Silk, the agent and a cosmic terrorist organization, the opposite of Shield and her sword, and was you. When you're done, any more stories that when you're done with this? Yeah, probably, if I can find it. I branch out into different, to answer your question, I branch out with different books that I feel that are interesting and stuff like that. So, maybe it can be Marvel, it can be DC, it can be a whole bunch of other stuff. So, kind of different any other stories. So, not right now, but indefinitely. But if you want to stay tuned for future episodes, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment down below. So yeah. And anyway, I'm just gonna skip ahead for a couple of chapters, just so that way I can, just so that we can, speed up the process and everything like this. Anyway, this is when the Inheritors, and to quote Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, release the hounds. Okay, good. Thank you very. Oh yes, thank you very much. Subscriptions. Anyway. And anyway, you can tell that the Inheritors are... Oh, and here's Loom World, home of the Inheritors, and it's pretty much just a collection of all the different reality from all the conquered realms from across the multiverse. So it's pretty much like a Marvel version of Apocalypse from DC, and of course you can tell that they're the new gods, yada yada yada. Oh, and guess what he says? Bannon, Cats, and Merrick, you heard the lady. Where he says, stories of the Inheritors are true. Mistress Verna tore off Dr. Connor's arm for not removing a splinter fast enough. So yeah, these Inheritors are definitely vicious. You're definitely, well, to say the least, vicious and bitter. It's like, oh, it says, don't, and we don't talk about what Moreland did to that Thompson boy for dropping a plate. Oh, man. Normally I would say that Flash Thompson was getting his comeuppance is always satisfying, but for this is just kind of terrifying. But not as terrifying as this, though. Oh, they have spider corpses piled on plates like they're fresh killed animals. And of course, this mofo we're looking at, this dark side looking mofo right here, is Solus, the patriarch of the Inheritor clan. All of the Inheritors, including the brother Genix, Bora, Brix, the twins, they're Inheritors. I think Genix is an inventor of some sort, so that's kind of interesting to hear. And of course, here we have the Great Web of Life and Destiny. As you've probably seen from my last video, including with Bailey Briggs, Spider-Boy, this basically connects all the different Spider-Men together. As you can see here, there's the 1967 one, Spider-Hulk, the one from the black and white newspaper comics, I have no idea what that one is, the one from the Future Foundation, where he stayed with them, after Johnny died, he stayed with the Fantastic Four and became a permanent member, Spider-Man, if he had a samurai sword, I guess. Oh, Cowboy Spider-Man, that's actually, he was a pretty cool one. Then Captain Universe Spider-Man, you've actually just seen him. Seen him before. He says, a land with a mighty pharaoh still reigned old. Okay, so that's where modern, ancient Egypt came into the modern universe. Oh, and then there's Japanese Spider-Man with his wristband thing. Anyway, fun fact, this Japanese Spider-Man is ended up being the inspiration for the Power Rangers franchise. Can you believe that? Spider-Man actually kickstarted the Power Rangers. Huh, ain't that too nutty? Then you got the Sailor Maritime Spider-Man, and then you got, of course, then you got Doc Ock, aka the Superior Spider-Man, but more the Superior Octopus sort of thing. Then you've got Brix and Bora, the twins, just basically arguing and everything about whose fault it is, why he's being late, and then who's to blame and everything. And of course, then you have, oh, look at this milksop, even even pretended it wasn't a prey. This is the Alex Ross Spider-Man. This is his suit right here is the actual inspiration for the Raimiverse Spider-Man, minus the utility belt and all. This version of Bruce Banner is actually not the Hulk like I explained before. And of course, you can tell that these two siblings often fighting with each other is what supervillains and siblings often tend to do best, if not focusing on a common enemy and everything. So they end up finding which Arker and everything, feasting up your Arker. And of course, this is how the Inheritors feast. They drain the life force energy out of all of these people right over here. And stuff, so... And everything, so... And everything. Okay, so, and of course, as you can see here, this is one of my favorite variations of Spider-Man, the Superior Spider-Man. Yep, you see, back in 2013, Doc Ock had swapped minds with Peter Parker about after he was dying from years of degrading health. So he ended up, but after being afflicted by the remnants of Peter's dying memories, he decided to take up the hero mantle, albeit in a more anti-heroic fashion. His main achievements were basically just assembling an army of henchmen to clean up the streets, utilizing Octa spider bots to patrol the city while he wasn't around. Even the two biggest accomplishments that Superior Spider-Man did was he actually built, in the 616 continuity, he built and founded Parker Industries all at once. You know, the big giant multi-billion dollar tech company that Peter ended up so foolishly pissed away in the Nick Spencer run. Yeah, that Parker Industries. And the best part of all, this guy right here beat the living hell out of Black Cat. Seriously, he just literally, he knocked a tooth out. I mean, he just ripped into her. I mean, he went to town beating her ass like she owed him money. This is why I liked him so much. I mean, they did a song and dance. The whole song and dance routine that Black Cat and Spider-Man have in the comics is just totes ridiculous. And I mean, at this point, she blue balls him for like 25 years, and he still ends up forgiving her. He blames no one but himself, and in fact, he never blames anybody. Surprisingly, even if it is their fault to begin with, because no, his guilty conscience won't let him. Blech. This is the reason I did it. This is one of the main reasons I think Spider-Man is my second favorite hero. My main one being Deadpool. Deadpool core run deep, son! So yeah, basically Superior Spider-Man, along with Spider-Punk and a few other hardcore totems, ended up assembling their own army to travel across the Spider-Verse. And of course, they promote Peter Parker of 616 as their supposed chosen one, yet they don't do anything to protect him, and of course they end up treating it as just more of a plot convenience, if anything. And they assemble even more Spider Tomes. Oh, and this one right here, this is Ashley Barton. She actually comes from the Old Man Logan reality, and the best part is she's actually Spider-Man's granddaughter. Hardcore. You know how hardcore she is? She decapitated her world's Kingpin with nothing but a shotgun, and able to blow his brains out with that said shotgun, and ended up taking his place as the new Kingpin, or in her case, Queenpin. She's pretty much hardcore badass, and you want to know what her name is? Yeah, her name's Spider Bitch. That's her name in the comics, right? I'm not fooling. I mean, they had to change it to Spider-Girl 2 because, you know, PG Comics Code Authority and whatnot. But yeah, she and Superior Spider-Man are actually people who actually get the jobs done. Unlike Peter Parker, who basically lets the writers pretty much tool his life around like a punk. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Yeah. So she basically sees Superior Spider-Man as boss, so yeah, so she can definitely respect, as they say, game, recognize, game. And stuff like that. So yeah. Oh, and then here comes Morlun. Apparently this guy will not stop at anything. It took an entire army just to take him down and his entire family. So that is definitely something that's worth mentioning here and there. Let's see, stuff exposition. Skipping ahead a couple of pages because some of it's mostly like exposition and or other thing that. Oh yeah, this is when Otto really decides to flex his ego muscles by saying that he's in charge here instead of just, you know, the chosen one. So apparently these two ass clowns basically just start duking it out, and apparently he says killing is not. Apparently, these guys have clone vats, and apparently that killing them is not an option. Yeah, well, if you destroy the clone vats, and then kill them, then they won't be able to come back. That's the thing I never liked about Ear. It's like he never kills when necessary. I mean, it's just otherwise the villains are just gonna keep coming right back and just doing this whole thing all over again. And I know. Don't give me that whole hogwash about, well, it's because the writers want them to. Yeah, seriously. Anyway, then there's the Master Weaver, who's basically just a naked dude on a spider machine who basically weaves the whole great web, the Webmaster and whatever. And I don't mean Webmaster as in the computer person. That was just kind of a slip of the tongue. Anyway, they all divide up. Oh, and this, and right here, see this boy right here? This is Peter Parker from Earth 12041, aka the Ultimate Spider-Man TV cartoon, and I'm just going to come out and say it, this one was one of my favorite versions because he's just so fun. He's a fun version of the Spider-Man character. Yeah, parts of his character could be toned down a bit, but overall, he's just fun. He's not the angsty, romance-driven Peter Parker. He's just straight up living his best life. And it was actually because of him that I ended up getting this book in the first place. And I know, don't at me for this, but I actually like him because he's fun. His show's overhated. I don't know why people are hating on the show. I mean, I know it's because, because his show replaced Spectacular Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, well, guess what? Found a continuation of it online from under Miss the Parts, No, wait. It's, yeah, Missed the Parts fan fiction continues. Spectacular Spider-Man continued, so I ended up seeing that, and it was actually pretty solid, pretty stable continuity for that universe. So yeah. But anyway, so Ultimate Spider-Man, the TV cartoon one and the comic one, basically go off on their own adventure. On their own adventure. Oh, let me just skip ahead to this one because this is actually just quite fun. Hang on. Let's see if I can get this one over here. Okay. Oh, anyway, before it does, the Spider Totems bring in the Leopardon, which is basically just like their equivalent, a Spider-Verse equivalent of a Transformer robot. So yeah. So besides Power Rangers and Transformers, the Spider-Verse pretty much had every genre covered. And stuff. So yeah. I'm just trying to figure. Pardon me for just a second. Yeah, here it is. This is my favorite. This was my favorite part of the book. Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, the TV cartoon one, and the comic. Okay, since they're both called Ultimate Spider-Man, I'm just gonna call it US. This one's gonna be USM, and this one's just gonna be Miles Morales. USM pretty much points out all the different factors of this, the factors of this universe. It's like pastels, bright colors, or hallucination. Wait a minute, clunky animation, bright colors, pastels, clunky animation. I know this era. This is the 1960s. This was the very first Spider-Man cartoon that again started it all. And of course, he does have this little hallucination fantasy thing. It's like, dig them groovy threads, far out, man. And believe it or not, that's actually what people did say in the 60s and 70s. So yeah. Anyway, Peter Parker and Betty Brant, and yes, believe it or not, this is that one. This is that world's version of Betty Brant, and believe it or not, they kind of like merged MJ and Betty Brant together to make this one. I have no idea why. Hell, I think that this show could have had potential to kickstart it all, but because of the restrained budget and everything, and the clunky animation, it just came out, half-assed. Although I do like the suit, by the way. I mean, the blue, yellow, and red, like, just as a suit and everything, is just, straight up good. It's like there's only one place on the sign, and 3 guesses. It's like where all the other Spider-Man. And apparently, look at this one. It says, can follow this adventure in Spider-Verse Team Up number 2. I actually saw the pictures of it online, and it's actually pretty funny too. A USM Spider, USM ends up tries to communicate with the 60s Spider-Man using all the different types of 50s and 60s vernacular, and it makes it even funnier is that he straightforward talks with them just like normal talk. Can you believe that? People in the time period actually didn't speak all that wacky lingo, vernacular, and everything. So, yeah. And if you want to learn more about this, pick up the issue at your local comic book store, or better yet, just find the pictures on Tumblr. I mean, I did, and it turns out it actually kind of saved me a couple of bucks. And anyway, this is the back to the main story in hand. This is basically the Inheritor's clone vat and everything, where basically if they die for some odd reason, that basically just regenerates them back to life. Oh, and this, of course, is Betty Brant. And yes, pay no heed to the view, but this is actually Betty Brant. She was in a world where she got bit by the radioactive spider instead of Peter Parker, and Peter Parker became her, guy in the chair. They kind of worked well together. I always liked Betty Brant and Peter Parker together. They're like an older sister, younger brother kind of duo. And in fact, they're gonna put them together, and they're pretty much like an unstoppable pair. Speaking of pairs. And anyway. Skipping ahead to a couple of pages, but oh yeah, and apparently Morlun ends up taking Benji Parker as part of the Scion, as the second part of the series. First, they needed the husband. I mean the other. Then they had the Scion. They actually kidnapped a baby, and then they went through all this just to kidnap a baby, and he punched a teenage girl. Also, this is one of my favorites of the Ultimate Spider-Man TV cartoons version of Spider-Verse. Like you had 2099, Miles Morales, the leader of the gang, Spider-Knight, a Petra Parker, which is basically a Spider-Girl from a gender-bent reality, Spider-Man Noir, and Spider-Ham. Noir Man and Spider-Ham. I always like this one too because it was always just they always knocked it out of the park with this one. I don't know why that show gets so overhated. I think the episodes were pretty fun. If you cleaned up the ones that kind of weren't up to snuff, the series actually would be so much fun. At least it ended without a cliffhanger, and it had one of those fire ass quotables saying, "It's not really the end, but it's just the beginning." I'm just saying. I mean, come on, it's just fun. And so basically, she ends up abducted. So anyway, boom. Mayday has pretty much been put through hell in a handbasket because her baby brother was just abducted by these vampires who are no doubtedly either going to eat him or just plain kill him. Either way, it does not look good for our heroes. But then again, when it comes to a spider totem, that's just par for the course. Toxic waste in reality. So they end up being stuck in a. So they end up traveling to Earth 8847. Oh wait, yeah, the Jurassic World, and not the one with the dinosaurs dressed up as stuff. I mean, like like a dinosaur. Excuse me for just a second. I'll be right back. It's the clock for the TV up here. I thought for sure. I must have pushed the button itself, the alarm or something. That must have activated an alarm or something. Yeah, I was gonna say it can't scare the living hell out of me. Yep, sure am. Night, Mom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Just had to take care of a personal issue at hand. So anyway, back to the story at hand. They find themselves on a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and of course, the spider team are dissecting one of the dead inheritors just to see how they tick and what their stuff was. Oh, and you can see how batch crazy this stuff is here. You got the 67 Spider-Man, the newspaper one, USM, who basically doesn't have a license, and goes, "You know what your problem is, Miles? You just need to loosen up a little bit." It's like, are you out of your mind? Yeah, considering all the stuff that we've been going through, it's kind of par for the course. So yeah, just skip ahead. This is kind of pretty much a long book. Oh, and remember the old man Spider-Man from the comics, or at least from earlier? Turns out Uncle Ben is actually that person right there. He's actually that identity right there. Bum bum bum. Anyway, as it turns out, this world's Uncle Ben was bitten by the radioactive spider, and he and his nephew Peter ended up forging a costume identity, kind of like what they did with Betty Brant. But like all things that happens with Spider-Man, it turns out tragedy follows him like a shadow, and it turns out the Emerald Elf, quote unquote, Green Goblin, ended up dying. It's crazy. Yeah, I know, right? Total twist. After May was killed, after May and Peter were killed in this universe, he decided to, basically the day the world that Spider-Man quit, I guess. So he ended up finding a way into a bunker, and then he's been staying there on that world for many years. And Superior Spider-Man's like saying, no, this world's Uncle Ben would have never given up and everything like that. inferior, and he's like an inferior Dr. Octopus and everything like that. And as it turns, so he's basically, while he's ranting, it turns out that the whole reason that this world was had gone to pot was because of, get this, Dr. Octopus launched launched an entire nuclear holocaust on the entire world. And feeling guilty that his non-redeemed doppelganger had plunged the world into total crap, Spider-Man decides oh yeah, he basically just gets up to this an old man. He's like, you shut up. And he goes, that's you're afraid to fight. I've lost more times than I've won, and every damn time I get back up, because that's all that matters. When victory is easy, it's cheap. Every fight that's ever been worth fighting has been against adversity, against a so-called unbeatable foe. It's like, but there is no such thing. Every enemy has a weakness. You just have to find it once. You just have to win one more time. Say it one time. And so, Superior Spider-Man becomes the inspiration that causes Uncle Ben to get back up and go out fighting. Goes called the Superior Friends. Now, the die is cast. Go for the bigger ones. Like, now I'm getting the big line for this. It's like, yeah, I think the die is cast was a lot better. Excuse me, seems like I've lost my place everywhere. Oh yeah, so this guy's no Karn. He's an estranged version of the Inheritors who's come back through the the portal just to try to earn traitor. He says he's on the side of righteous to get into them. After Solus was eventually killed in that one. And Benji was rescued after nearly being killed and or eaten. Oh yeah, and here comes the part that I really like. Mayday has Solus's crystal inside. She smashes that, boom. Solus is dead and permanently dead. But no, it turns out she ends up. He's like, oh, I'm the daughter of Spider-Man. I won't do it. I won't seek vengeance, only justice. Justice. Yeah, the only problem with that, sweetheart, is that these guys are unstoppable monsters who've just killed billions of your brothers and of their totemic brothers and sisters. So that's just, I never liked that. It's like, yeah, I know that she probably, in my version, the Spider-Man would have just, Spider-Thor would have just smashed the crystal and taken away the temptation, so that way it wouldn't have had Mayday. Wouldn't have given Mayday that. I mean, she's like, what, 16, 17? She probably got enough going on already without having to worry about vengeance and stuff like that. Oh, look at this. It says, we're heroes, damn it. Heroes don't kill. Don't kill. Yeah, says you, but anti-heroes are a whole different ballgame, webhead. It's like Punisher said, once you cross the line, you don't get to come back from that ever. It's like, yeah, says him. He's like, this is the Marvel multiverse. There's clearly dozens of other ways to do so. Besides, you've taken responsibility for more than anything that you could ever hope to achieve. Don't you think you could just deserve a break from it just once? Yeah, so basically I would just smash the crystal and then just dump the Inheritors off in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. Yeah, it's like, go eat it, Twilight. See here. Never mind. Anyway, they get trapped in the nuclear wasteland, and okay, the Inheritors get trapped in the nuclear apocalyptic wasteland and have to basically feed on spider totems just to survive. Because, oh yeah, they get spared, and then guess what? When they finally come back they escape from that wasteland, they end up trying to kill this all over again. So anyway, Mayday returns to a reality where her mom, baby brother, and her boyfriend Wes end up being rescued just in time. And so this world's Uncle Ben decides to stay in this reality to become granduncle / grandfather figure to Benjamin Parker. So it's kind of a happy ending. Unfortunately, Billy Braddock, who's aka Captain Britain, his universe was destroyed in an incursion while he was off-world. And like they say, it's not really a Spider-Man story if it's not if someone doesn't suffer, which unfortunately seems to become the new status quo for Marvel writers. God, that whole mantra just really boils my blood. And everything. So, spectacular. Anyway, Superior Spider-Man just kills the Master Weaver, hoping to give everybody a chance of free will, but they're like, oh, because if you kill the Master Weaver, then all of the Spider-Verse unravels. But he's like, I just gave you free will. So, can't you see? This is, if this is some predetermined of our lives, I'm giving you the greatest gift of all, free will. And he goes, but I wanted a pony. And the scrolls and stuff like that. But anyway, Karn decides to take anyway, with the Master Weaver dead, Karn decides to take charge and take up the mantle of Master Weaver to make up for the sins of his family. So after they finish fighting, oh, and this, by the way, he knocks out. Anyway, Spider-Man finally knocks out the Superior Spider-Man and sends him back in time with no memory of what happened. And I'm pretty sure that's not how time travel actually works, but hey, it's near the end of the story, so yeah. Anyway, the inheritors are basically just stuck in a bombshell with enough totems to survive, spiders to actually survive. So, ugh. Anyway, if it were up to me, I'm gonna blow that bomb shelter up with planted explosives on that shelter and then just blown it up. So that when they shoved them right through, they would have actually inadvertently killed them without them knowing it. So, you know what they say, out of sight, out of mind. And of course, it's a happy ending for everyone. Everyone in it's like, hey, stiff upper lip, Billy. Please stop. Toodle pip. He goes, cheerio. Oi. Yeah, Spider-Man's just ripping on the Brits. He rips on just about everybody. So all the Spider people go back to their respective realities, and Billy, Spider UK and Anya Corazon stay behind along with Karn to help set up shop since the inheritors are gone. They decided to turn the original Loom World into their brand new extended headquarters called Spider Island, or now that I think about it, Spider World. Or Arachno World. Either way, it's going to be a brand new start. A new way to help people, help all the different spiders from all the different realities to come together. Kind of like the Citadel of Rick and Morty. If you haven't seen that episode, go check it out now. It's pretty fun. And yeah, that's pretty much just the end of the story. Spider-Man's back at the Daily Bugle, just taking pictures and getting yelled at by Jameson. Yeah, somewhat happy ending indeed. Ugh. Yeah. And that, dear viewers, is the end of our story. Spider-Verse, while it drags on certain parts of it, it's a pretty good story. The movies and cartoon series definitely help to expand the concept, and I think it's a pretty good one. In fact, I hope that I don't even mind waiting until 2027 or so, or 2029 or whatever, when the next Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, because you know how good those last two movies were? Peak Spider-Verse content. Just saying right there. So yeah, you can't rush art, but you can't help but give credit to the book that started it all. I mean, I know that, and also, like I said, my least favorite part was just Mayday had the crystal, and she could have just smashed it any time, or at least given it to Spider-Thor, where he could have just smashed it, and then let him take the rep. But they're like, oh, heroes don't kill. It's like, yeah, except for Thor, Hawkeye, Punisher, who's kind of an anti-hero, and literally anyone who's only done it, like, only a few times, except every soldier in the line of duty. So it's twisted sense of guilt and overbearing responsibility that allows us that causes his life to be shit. Yeah, so yeah, that's a great life of Spider-Man to have right there. Ugh. But anyway, aside from that, the artwork is always on a stunning level, and well, yeah. Anyway, if you're big fans of Spider-Man crossovers, especially within the ranks, I highly recommend that you check out this book. It's available at your local comic book store, regular bookstore like Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and wherever comic books are sold. Well, that just about does it for this week's for today's episode of Chillin' with Da Pool. I hope to see you again next time for an all new episode. And this time, next time we'll be reviewing books that aren't that are neither Marvel nor DC. Oh, what shall it be, dear viewers? Well, only time will tell. Until next time, true believers, Excelsior!